Oscar buzz has been surrounding a couple of performances for Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Now, despite how many people may feel about the movie, one of the pros that I gave in my review was that the acting was great across the board, especially when it came to Angela Bassett and Letitia Wright, who really stepped up her acting in this movie because she got propelled into the leading role, so to speak, due to unforeseen circumstances. And she really had to show a lot of range to the point where I said she might actually get an Oscar nomination, into which if she did, it would be much well deserved. But there are some people out there that feels that she probably should not receive an Oscar nomination, not because of her lack of acting ability, but because of her stance on something that she spoke out about like 2 years ago. And we all know what that's about. So I'm not going to go into naming what it is, but you know what I'm talking about. But you have this writer named Scott Feinberg, I believe that's his name, Scott Feinberg. And let me tell you, that last name, Feinberg, let's hone in on the Berg part. That lets you already know right then and there who, or I should say what, community he belongs to. But the fact that he is trying to say that her Oscar chances could be hurt because of her stance on something that is completely outside of the realm of acting, that's saying a lot. And then let's just hypothetically say she doesn't get nominated for an Oscar, even though people think that she should. Not that's going to put any measure or not on her acting ability and her talent, but we can circle the wagon back and say, was it his fault why she didn't get that nomination? Because they put a bug in the Academy's ear. But I'm going to go ahead and read this article coming from the New York Post, because Letitia Wright has clapped back at the Scott Feinberg character, and I'm going to put his picture up there eventually, and we're going to hear what she had to say. Letitia Wright is through with the apologies, as she should be. The Black Panther Wakanda Forever star has slammed Hollywood Reporter writer Scott Feinberg and his recent article headline as how personal baggage will impact Oscar chances. In the piece published on Monday, Feinberg described how the British actress' previous stance on the COVID-19 jabs and her anti-vax position could impact her chances on winning an Academy Award in 2023. That's the weirdest thing. That should have nothing to do with each other. Her stance on what it pertained to when it came to the jab should have nothing to do with her chances of winning an Oscar, if there's chances there. All she did, if y'all remember, was question what was in it, like many people did. But because two things: one, because she's black, and two, she has a platform, they made her a huge target and started labeling her anti-jab immediately. And then because it was during the height of the pandemic and they were shooting the movie and everything like that, then they tried to make it seem like she was a hindrance on why the movie was like not moving along or fast enough, and they literally tried to make her public enemy number one. I remember all of that because I talked about it a couple of times on pre-recorded videos and live streams over the course of like last year when it was happening. The journalist compared her position to the likes of alleged domestic abuser Brad Pitt, as well as Will Smith, who is now banned from appearing at the Oscars for 10 years after assaulting host Chris Rock on stage at the 2022 ceremony. Although Chris Rock was not hosting this year's Oscars. I don't know why they phrase it as host. He has hosted in the past, but he wasn't hosting this year. The Hollywood Reporter has since responded to Wright's rebuke in a statement obtained by the Post, though not including an outright apology. The 29-year-old entertainer delivered her diatribe via Instagram stories. I had to unblock the Hollywood Reporter just to post this. Y'all made this woman go out of her way to unblock a page that she already previously blocked, which tells me she has had issues with them in the past where she had to have blocked them. And she says, okay, but now you're forcing me to have to unblock you just to have to give you a piece of my mind. And then after I tell you what I think of you, then I'm going to go back to blocking you again. This woman was probably having a good day until this came up. But let's go into what she said. Scott Feinberg, and all at this publication, you're incredibly disrespectful. How dare you mention my name alongside men who have been accused of abuse and sexual misconduct. I remained silent as the world told me to kill myself 2 years ago for a video I posted and apologized for. The death on the Nile Star added. I kept my head down and I focused on my craft. And now I'm at the other side of it. Here you are as a so-called journalist. We are meant to trust, putting my name into this nasty article for what? She continued, at this point, a personal vendetta towards me. I've done nothing wrong but respectfully refuse to do interviews with this publication. Stop your nonsense. I apologized 2 years ago. So now we get into a little bit of the meat of it. Now they are upset because she refused to do an interview with them. And I'm guessing it's because of what she said when it came to the thing. And they probably wanted to talk to her, but she was like, no, I don't want to talk to anybody. And the thing is, the Hollywood Reporter is probably not the only publication that she declined to talk to. She probably declined to talk to a lot of people, but you don't see them going on there making up hit pieces about her. So this is very personal at the end of the day. They feel some type of way. They feel slighted. And the Hollywood Reporter, they have a reputation for getting a lot of mainstream interviews with a lot of A-list stars that a lot of people cannot get. They're literally, what the Hollywood Reporter reminds me of? The Hollywood Reporter reminds me of the Beverly Hills version of TMZ. The Hollywood Reporter would be considered Beverly Hills, and TMZ is like the hood. That's like the best way I can compare it to. They both kind of talk about the same thing, but not the same exact thing, but it has stars and celebrities in it somehow in some capacity. It goes on to say, because she's not done, she says, you lied and said I continue talking about it with my cast and crew on my set. This was not true. Ask my producer and director. The film was successful. Your agenda towards me is now even more clear. I will not remain silent. Stop your disgusting behavior, Wright concluded in Monday's rebuke. The Hollywood Reporter's editor-in-chief, Nekesa Moody, responded to the Post request for comment. Said, Moody, I sincerely appreciate the feedback and dialogue surrounding this column. While the intent was not to equate Letitia's situation with others mentioned in the article, and we underscored that in the story, which was assigned to Scott, we also understand that some saw this in a different way. We have featured Letitia on our cover and cited her great talent in reviews and look forward to continuing to chronicle her career. So they had to basically try to clean up what this Scott Feinberg person said. It doesn't matter if y'all put her on the cover of your magazine or your publication. At the end of the day, you can do all of those things, but you're not going to sit up here and dirty up my name just because I won't talk to you. That you sound like a scorned ex who goes around and tries to slander the ex because the ex doesn't want anything to do with them anymore. That's what it sounds like to me. Like, how dare this N-word, B-word, if he willing to say it, he probably won't say it. How dare this N-word, B-word, this uppity Negro not talk to us after we put her on our cover? How dare she? That's what it sounds like to me. And let me tell y'all, that's how a lot of PC people think. That's why whenever you hear stories or hear situations where black athletes, and I'm using them as an example because it's the perfect one. Whenever black athletes speak up and say something about whatever's going on in the community, even though they don't have to, you have a lot of PC people, and it's mainly them, because I see it online, especially on Twitter. Well, they're paying them millions of dollars. Why are they getting so upset? I mean, it's not like, they're poor or anything. They should be happy. They should be grateful. And a perfect example I saw of this was with Jerry Jones. I saw so many people throw on the cape for Jerry Jones after that picture came to the surface of the video I just recently did about him being at basically being a segregationist in the 50s while he was 14 years old. I saw so many people throwing the cape, and not so surprising at the same time, it was a lot of black people throwing the cape on for it too. Mainly only black men. A bunch of little Charles Buckley Barkleys and Shaquille O'Coons running around there, literally sounding like PC Dub S in the comments threads on Twitter, throwing a cape on for this man. It's crazy. And you want to know what's interesting? The person who made the post, because I was tagged in it, the person who made the post is a person that I can't even stand. And that was D.L. Hughley. He was basically saying how Jerry Jones, he's able to get removed from this. He doesn't have to give an apology, but when it comes to Chris Brown, he's still apologizing for something that happened well over 10 years ago that he and Rihanna have since moved on from, but it seems like everyone else can't. A person we know we can't stand over here actually made a lick of sense. And I'm finding that's happening quite often lately with a few people, but we ain't going to give them too much of a pass because they'll circle that wagon around again and they'll say something else goofy. But back to this article. It goes on to say, for her part, Wright already walked back on her prior critical statements regarding the COVID-19 jab uptake. In a recent profile for The Guardian, she expressed regret for her problematic views. Notice they said that her views were problematic just for her simply asking what was in it. That was considered problematic for them. But it says, I have in a healthy way moved on, she told the outlet. And in a healthy way, I've apologized and deleted my Twitter. I just apologize for any hurt that was caused to anybody. In 2020, Wright retweeted an anti-Woovid jab conspiracy clip, which caused a stir among fans. The backlash led to her deleting her social media accounts. If you don't conform to popular opinions but ask questions and think for yourself, you get canceled, she tweeted at the time, including a laughing emoji at the end. Her critics then reportedly asked Disney's Marvel Studios to fire Wright from the Black Panther franchise for being a quote-unquote, these are their words, stupid bitch. And you know what's so crazy? Them calling her a stupid B word is the least of the insults that she got. Remember, some of them were telling her to quote unquote unalive herself. It got that serious for them, at least. It got that deep for them. Even now, when it came to the point where she had injured herself, I think on the set doing stunts, you had a lot of them people out there laughing at her pain and her injury because of that. I'm telling you, the world is like Rob says over at Blacklight Revelations, the world is indeed correct. Because I would not have expected the people who critiqued her in that manner to act any other way than what they did when it came to her. Now, this is Scott Feinberg. This is the one who wrote that hit piece on The Hollywood Reporter about Letitia Wright saying that, her stance on the you-know-what should disqualify her from possibly getting an Oscar nomination. This is him. This is the one that wrote it with that gonzo nose. I'm not surprised in the least bit. These are the same people that say that we have to apologize if we say something that they don't like. But I bet you he won't be made to apologize. I know he won't. That's probably why a lot of black people, like if they fall into a situation like this, they don't even ask them for an apology because they know they're not going to get one from them. And if they do get apology, it'll be a pseudo one. It won't be genuine. It won't be one that is meant, with merit or some kind of actual meaning behind it. They'll just say it for damage control purposes. That's why I say you can't really accept the apology, because is it really an apology? No. But I'm glad that Letitia came out and said what she said, and she didn't just simply let this slide. She says, I'm done with the apologies. Like, you're not getting another apology out of me. The apologies that I gave back then are the ones you're going to get. If you don't like them, oh well, but you're not going to give me on the apology tour for what? But I'm glad that she came out and she said what she said to them and basically said, that this is where we at. This is where I'm meeting you at. If you feel some type of way about it, so be it. But I'm not giving you another apology. For what? She shouldn't have had to even apologize the first time. Because look at what she got met with before she even gave the apology. Death threats. Them calling her out of her name, calls for her to be fired, like literally trying to ruin her career and take her livelihood away. Something I'm sure she's worked very hard for. See, they love to do that. But when it comes to everybody else, we got to give them a chance. We got to let, they got to grow from this. That's usually how they do it. And that's not an opinion. That's a fact.